You're listening to 50 Pirates in 50 Days on the Sports Objective Podcast. A new era of East Carolina football is here and will begin on August 31st when Mike Houston leads the Pirates into action at NC State. Between now and then, join us for a daily trip down memory lane as we experience Pirate football through the words of the men who made those memorable moments happen. Here's your host, Bubba Rosenbaum.
Well, we'll continue our 50 for 50, and Bubba, I tell you what, another great get for you, and we're excited to have our next guest on.
Absolutely. You think back to the Skip Holtz era, you certainly think of defense, and that 2006 defense was one of the best in our program's history, or one of the more underrated defenses for sure. And from that team, I'm very excited to have one of the key contributors, Fred Wilson, middle linebacker. Fred, welcome into the show.
Hey, appreciate it. Thank you.
So, Fred, obviously, I know you came to ECU from GMC, Georgia Military College. So, let's talk a little bit about your recruitment coming out of GMC, or actually, if you want to go back to high school. So, just talk about your recruitment and then how you ended up deciding on the Pirates.
Yeah, coming out of high school, I had the grades, but as far as South Carolina regulation. You have to pass like the exit exams and stuff. So from there, I couldn't start out at a D1 school, so I had to go to a junior college, and then that's how I ended up at Georgia Military College. And they have a great football program. I just been up there this past May for the spring game, and I choose that place because it's a little bit closer to home. It's the same exact distance to Greenville, North Carolina, as it is to Millersville, Georgia. And I went there, played ball, and then I graduated early from there. And Coach Rock, rest in peace, he was the recruiter. And he would always come down to Georgia and watch me play and practice and stuff. And my number one reason that I went to East Carolina was because of Skip Holtz. My family and his family, we knew each other from my older brother, Carl Wilson, when he was the quarterback. And, he had several positions, but he was mainly the quarterback starting out his first year in South Carolina was where Lou Holtz was there. And Lou Holtz, he was in my living room. I think it was in 2000. I think it was 1999. 2000. He was in my living room, and from then the Wilson family and the Holtz family, we knew each other from then. So that's kind of like number one reason why I left GMC to go to East Carolina.
Who else recruited you coming out of junior college? Where else did you have a chance to go?
I had Kansas State. They recruited me. Let's see what other school. Memphis. They had a little bit of interest. SMU, we went up there to play a junior college. Their coaching staff was interested in me, and can't remember. I got a lot of mail. That's all I can remember off the top of my head right now.
You made the right choice by coming to Greenville.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
So, Fred, you're coming in prior to that 2006 season, so that's Coach Holtz's second year, or was his second year, I should say. So the ball really got rolling in 2005, and we started playing much more competitive football in 2006. Like I said, that was far and away the best we've been on the defensive side of the ball in quite some time. So talk a little bit about that defense, some of the key contributors besides yourself, and the likes of Greg Hudson and some of the tremendous coaches we had on that staff.
Yeah, the play we had that year in 06, beside myself, we had Pierre Bell, we had Quentin Cotton, we also have Linville Joseph. He also was a good asset on the D-line. Jay Ross, he also was a good asset. Scotty Robinson, Marcus Haynes,
Ben Askridge.
Ben Askridge. We also had Mark Robinson. He was also good. Kyle Chase. What's the other?
You hear all these names, Bubba. You don't wonder that damn defense was good.
Yeah. It's a lot of people I can name. You know, Nick Johnson. You know, it's just Pierre Parker. There's a lot of people I can name. But overall, you know, everybody, you know, we came together. We fought together through some tough games. The way that team was set up in '06, you know, our record don't reflect, you know, what I figure our record would have been. You know what I'm saying? As far as if you look at how we played, you know, that we had some close games and especially big games. We played West Virginia. We definitely, you know, that definitely should have, you know, been a win right there.
Yeah, they were top 5 at the time.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the stadium was rocking
at Rice. That's 2 more games. Won.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah.
And Fred, like you're saying, starting off that 2006 season, that's what we lost a close one up at Navy. We had really, it sounds crazy to say this because you see 400 yards, but I mean, as much as they ran the ball, so we actually did a pretty good job of defending the option that day. It was just like 3 or 4 yards at a time. We didn't really give up the big one, but lost a close one there. And then next week we lost a close one down at UAB where we had a chance to win it. And then so we're coming home 0-2. Memphis is coming to town. They jump on us 20-0, and then we scored 35 unanswered. And I just remember thinking, all right, here we go. We're going to a bowl. There's no doubt.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, because the first game that was my official first D1 college football game when we played Navy, and as a player, I can't really lie. You know, I had butterflies in my stomach that first game. It was televised, and my folks was there, and that game, it was just because of the yards they have. It was just the way their offense were. It was just everything just moved fast, bam, 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 and playing against Navy, I never played against a team that cuts block more than Navy. Never played against a team that cuts block more than them. And I really was upset we lost that game, but I knew because of the talent we had on the team, I knew that the season was going to turn around at some point, whether it was the first or the second game.
I want to ask you, as far as Fred, as far as the schedule this year, we have Navy's going to be really the third game of the year in Annapolis. With Coach Houston coaching that offense, knowing how to prepare for them, do you think we have a better chance? I know Navy had a tough year last year, but if they're the Navy from 2 or 3 years ago, it may be a tough day for the Pirates.
Yeah, long as the boys come out strong in the beginning and finish strong, I think the Pirates will come out on top. Just playing with a team that they're known for their running game. I'm not as far as how they passing been a few years, but I know playing them in the past, if you could really get a hold of their running game in the beginning, then they have a real good shot of coming out with a victory in this game.
Coach Houston has coached at the Citadel and at Lenore Ryan. He ran the triple option. So defensive-minded coach who's ran the triple option at different schools. Figure we ought to know how to stop it. He ought to be able to simulate it in practice pretty well. Talk about the next week. We don't want to go through every game, but after that Navy game and before the Memphis game, that UAB game to me is one of those games to this day I cannot stand to think about that game.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that game? Obviously, we all remember Philip Henry and the ball being stripped, going into the end zone to take the lead with about a minute to go. But besides that, what do you remember about that game? I hate that game. That's one of the games I can't stand thinking about that game.
Yeah, that to be honest with you, I didn't really remember that game until you brought it up. To be honest with you,
You tried to forget it.
Yeah, I didn't remember. I just know that was a game that we should have won, and like even so, going there, it just been a game we should have won because like the way we was playing, like everything was going in our favor. But things happen, and we came back together that following week, and we kind of took one game at a time throughout the season.
Fred.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Fred. I was just going to say it reminds me of when Kyle mentioned that UAB game. You can go a few years back over there, middle of November of '99. The David Garrard team, a tremendous team. We go down to UAB and lay an egg. It was that's another UAB game that I don't want to forget very much.
Yeah, the back nine. Yeah. I haven't. I think I don't think I ever saw like the highlights of that game because I know some of the games it shows clips on. When they beat Miami that year and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely with David been there, that definitely was a great team that year.
I mean, in fact, we won 9 games that year. We would have won 10 if we win that UAB game. That's what it would have been another 10. That would have been the second time we ever won 10 wins or more in a season.
Yeah, definitely.
Fred, talk about obviously one of the key contributors on the offensive side of the ball in your years was Chris Johnson, just that remarkable season he had in 2007 as a senior. So talk about going against Chris in practice, I guess especially in spring ball and just you seeing his development and could you see like behind the scenes that 2007 season is one that was going to happen?
Yeah, going into the season, I could tell that Chris, he had like a chip on his shoulder, and you could just look at a man's eye and tell that I haven't been around a player more focused and motivated than Chris Johnson. From the 06 year, he had a good year 06, but 07 was like, okay, I'm going to really show y'all that I'm the best running back coming out of college football. And that year, he just had a great year. Practicing with him is like making me prepare for any game, going against any running back. When we do drills, he's the first person in the drill, and sometimes I'm the first person in the drill. And a lot of times, I like to challenge myself going against him because he's a fast player, and he's pretty good. So be able to practice against someone with that type of caliber, it just makes me better as a player for game day.
Sorry, you can go ahead, Kyle.
Looking back at the 06 season a little bit more, Fred. The last game of the regular season, NC State Raleigh. What do you remember about that game? That to me, thinking about different games from that era, that 06 game in NC State was one of the most physical, hard-hitting games I ever remember seeing.
Yes, it was. It was. I remember that night. It was cold, foggy. It was just everybody. It was the atmosphere. Even though we was at NC State, it still felt like we brought our home to NC State because it was so packed. Everybody was into that game. It was that was a great win, an excellent win. The way to end the regular season, and that just I can't remember how many tackles I had that game, but I know that game I played my heart out. Every game I played my heart out, but that game was like probably a good way to end the season.
And Fred, you helped your East Carolina team helped fire Chuck Amato, so. Right after that game, right? It was right soon after that he got fired and coaching NC State. So you got a coach fired and you didn't even know it, right?
No, I didn't even know. I didn't even know it.
Yeah, that was the last game of the season, and it wasn't too long after that game that he was fired, right, guys?
Yeah, very soon thereafter. Fred, what meant more to you, man? Beating NC State and Raleigh, or the next fall beating Chapel Hill, or beat UNC in Greenville?
I can't. I'll say both. I mean, if I have to. I mean, I can't really pick one or the other, but I mean, I would say both meant the same for me.
Oh, I was just gonna say no reason to, right? No reason
Yeah.
to.
Oh yeah. No reason to, because I mean, I grew up, used to, because I'm from South Carolina.
Right.
So, I grew up watching like South Carolina, Gamecocks, North Carolina, Tar Heel, you know what I'm saying? So I grew up watching, UNC play on TV. And me playing against them in real life, that was awesome. And then to beat them on top of that, like there's a lot of great players came out of UNC. UNC got a great program, and me to actually play them and beat them on our turf, that was an awesome memory.
Yeah. And Hartman kicking the field goal after missing so many during that game, and then the one that matters the most, he puts through the upright. That y'all had the. Were you one of the ones that went out there and carried him off the field?
No, I wasn't the one that carried him off the field, but I definitely was one of the guys sprinting, yelling, throwing my helmet up in the air. So.
Yeah. Another game that I really recall from that 2007 season that was played at Dowdy Ficklin was, and this is one I know statistically you at least you reached double figures in tackles against UCF. It was kind of like that 2006 Memphis game we talked about where we were behind a couple of touchdowns in this one, and I think we trailed 28-14, and then we ended up winning 52-38.
Half was a lot of fun in that game. Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, that I was amped for that game. Cause their running back, I know his name is Kevin. It was Kevin Johnson. I can't remember his last name. I know his first name was Kevin. The running back they had that year I played against. He was a good running back. There was a lot of hype about him. So, of course, practicing with Chris Johnson, it just like gets you prepared, for game day. And that game, I knew it was going to be a good game playing against UCF because UCF now is nowhere near where they were when we played them. But when we played them, there was a good team still. But that having that victory that night was a good night because all the hype has been that whole week.
Kevin Smith is that running back that you're referring to?
Oh yeah. Smith,
Kevin Smith.
Yeah, I couldn't remember his last name. Yeah.
But both seasons, you were talking about some of your numbers. That's what I know. You were top 4 on the team in tackles both seasons, and you started all but 2 games. And on that senior season in 2007, you were third on the team with 81 tackles. And the top game that you had, at least statistically, was against Marshall. You had 13 stops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was at Marshall. Yeah, I remember that game.
Yeah, that was one of those games that just never could get anything going with offense that night.
Yeah. It was a struggle. Defense definitely, try to, came and try to get everything rolling. Just, some nights, you just things don't go your way. And but that game, I definitely would have figured that we would have won, if everything, would have went more in our favor. But
that 7 game at Marshall, to this day, guys, I don't know if any of the 3 of you remember this. We kicked a field goal in that game that was called. It was one of only a couple times I ever remember this happening. The field goal was called no good, and I still swear to this day the kick was good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I remember it because I was there.
Yeah,
you remember
that.
You remember? Okay, do you remember it, Fred?
Yeah, I remember that because I was on the sideline.
That kick was good.
Yeah. That was crazy, man.
All the Pirates in the stands, like you're saying, Kyle, we were all just looking at each other like, what?
Exactly.
Yeah. A lot of calls that game. There was a lot of calls during that game. It was just, man. It was just, we couldn't win. We had to beat the team in the referee. We couldn't win at all.
It was
another game I was going to mention from that 2007 season, Fred. One we did win. It was dubbed the Miracle in the Mine Shaft, where Rob Cass throws the
Jawan Crowell.
Yeah, throws the Hail Mary to Crowell, and we tie it up and then go to overtime and win. And you remember that one?
What game was that? I can't remember what game was that.
UTEP in 07.
UTEP. Oh yeah.
It was actually their homecoming too.
Yeah. I remember that game. Yeah, that game. Yeah, I also had an issue, like, because I have asthma, and that game, it's in the mountains.
Yeah.
The stadium is in the mountains, so actually that game, like, I've been on the oxygen like every chance I had gotten during that game. But that definitely was a good game, and Rob Cass, he definitely had a good game throwing the ball to Crowell that game. So
yeah, speaking of UTEP, want to give our thoughts and prayers to all the people out in El Paso for what happened out there as we're recording this yesterday. Just terrible.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Should pray for their family out there. A lot of stuff going on in this world. Just I don't understand why, but just I don't understand the reason.
And the same thing with not only El Paso, you have Dayton too. Right back to back. Not even 24 hours. We have
it's all the people in El Paso and Dayton also.
Yeah. Crazy stuff.
And Fred, a few minutes ago, I referenced that tremendous defensive staff we had under Coach Holtz. Greg Hudson as defensive coordinator, and then you had Rick Smith, a veteran secondary coach who had also been a defensive coordinator, them working hand in hand. And then you had Coach Rock. Unfortunately, we lost here several years back. But talk about some of those guys. I know I told you off the air some of the stories, like Nick Johnson had said that Coach Hud threw a cake off the meeting room wall, even though we had won the game because we didn't play up to our expectations in standard. So talk about those guys.
Yeah, Coach Hudson, Greg Hudson. He was not just a coach to me. He was more like a father away from home. He really took patience with me as far as having me be the captain and the leader of the defense, along with Quentin Cotton and Pierre Bell. But the way his motivation is while we in and watching film, the way he is when we do defensive meetings, the way we out in practice. It's never a dull moment with Coach Hudson. He's a very intelligent, motivated coach, and it was an honor to be able to play under him. Coach Rock is probably one, it's like he's like a coach that you can never ever forget because his intensity level is so out this world. It's like I wish I have that type of energy and that intensity level that Coach Rock has when he was coaching, and you couldn't really tell because when I was in Georgia military, when he used to come to my game, my practices and stuff, he was like a calm, very cordial guy. And then when it came practice time, I was like, where is this calm, collective guy at? It was just he was very he make you want to be better. He make you want to be a better player, not just a better player, a better student. Because he was old me academically, coming in, leaving from a junior college. He was over-study hall and stuff, and him, he really was a good person to really, stay on top of things. You give him a task, he will complete that task, or whatever duty he has, he will honor it and make sure every player, everybody's where they're supposed to be doing what they're supposed to do. And Coach Rick Smith, it was an honor playing under him as well. I know Coach Rod Manchester, the coach that's the Georgia military, he's currently there now. He's the secondary coach there. And him and Rick Smith, they are very good close friends. And just be able to play under him, even though I came from a school where, he used to play under Rick Smith, that was also, good honor and let me know that, okay, I made the right decision going here because the coaching staff was tremendous. It was wonderful. I couldn't ask for a better coaching staff.
So Rick Smith's kind of like the Kevin Bacon of the coaching world. It's like 1 degree of separation between him and everybody else. He seems like he's coached with or played. Everybody's played under him or coached with him. One thing I wanted to ask you about, Fred, was the Hawaii Bowl trip. Out to Hawaii, playing Boise State. Boise was top 25 team at the time, the darlings of the non-BCS world, coming off the win over Oklahoma the previous year in the Fiesta Bowl. 98% of the country picked Boise to beat East Carolina on the ESPN Bowl pick. There was a comment made by somebody who played for Boise that they thought we were 1AA. Just talk about your memories of beating them and the disrespect we got going into that bowl game.
Yeah, the whole week, no one even thought we had a chance to beat Boise State. It was just, we were kind of feeding off of it because it was like, well, they don't really, for them to think that about us as Pirates, they don't really know us. And the way we work, we go up against anybody, no matter if you're number one, number two. Everybody still fit on the pad the same way we do. And just going up there, go to that game, and it was just every day of practice was like, okay, we're going to win this game. We have to win this game. Going to Hawaii, that was a great experience. But on top of that, the great experience was leaving with a victory from Hawaii, and that was the best way I could ever finish my football career at ECU.
Wow. And I remember, Fred, with that game, during lunchtime of that day, I'll never forget, one of my friends had a heart attack. Thankfully, it wasn't that bad, but he's up at the hospital when we watched that game, and I was just like going, oh, my God, this could be I hope this is not a bad omen that my friend has a heart attack, an East Carolina graduate. I'm in the hospital, and that really, you guys cheered him up because he was feeling obviously a little down, stressed out because he didn't expect to have a heart attack, and you guys cheered him up that night in the hospital room. I'll never forget. That's where I was watching that game.
That night was definitely a night to remember, and I'm sorry to hear that about your friend. And is he doing well right now? Is he doing good? Everything?
Oh yeah, thankfully it turned out. Yeah, thankfully it turned out to be a mild heart attack, but they didn't know obviously during that time, the lunchtime, or even at that point when we were watching the game, they thought things were going to be okay, but he still wasn't quite out of the woods. But the good news was that that definitely cheered him up, and obviously I was excited because I knew we could win that game, even though it was Boise. I just had confidence. I think that's one of the things I was going to ask you about. When you had coaches like we had on that team, and then you have Skip Holtz as a head coach who had the utmost respect for, obviously knowing who his dad was, but also what he brought to the table and hearing him talk. You just feel passionate about the game, kind of like what we have now with Mike Houston. And it just felt like when you had Skip Holtz and those coaches and the talented players like you guys are and were, then you felt like, hey, we got a shot. We can beat just about anybody. Did you guys have that same feeling as the fans in Pirate Nation?
Yeah, we always had that feeling. Anybody we went up against, we never felt like we just going in and it's just another day of practice. We treat every day like we want to win, like we want to win. And it never was a doubt in my mind that like any of the coaches, their vibes, any of the player vibes, it was never a doubt. It was like, let's go in, let's fight for each other. No matter at the end of the day, everybody got to put all their efforts in each play of what we do. And I never, had a better coaching staff than I did that 06, 07 year that I've been there. As far as offense and defense, special teams, just everybody across the board. Not me just having confidence in myself, but just seeing and hearing how they responded to every call, every issue we would have. They would just make sure we all stay on one accord and just to do our best each game.
You remember that? I got another game for you to throw out here. 06 in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, taking on Southern Miss. Tough defensive struggle the whole game. And we go to overtime with those guys, and that was a hard-hitting game. And win it in overtime. Who was it that had the pick in that game in overtime?
Travis Williams.
Travis Williams, yes.
Yeah,
with the pick in overtime. And did you have a big game that game? Do you remember?
That game, I won't say big game. I contribute, to majority some of the plays. I wouldn't say I had a big game. But I know in that game right there, I think a lot of people had a big game that game. I know as far as with Travis Williams, he's a great cornerback. He's a great defensive player, and for him to come out with that play, was tremendous. It was just, at one point it was kind of like, we really got to get this ball back. We really have to stay in this game. We can't lose the focus. And then for him to come out with that wonderful play, that was awesome. And I think that year they had Southern Miss had a good running back that year too. There was a lot of hype about, and I can't remember how much yards he got that game, but I know defensive wise we showed up a little bit and helped out.
Fred, so after your time at East Carolina, tell Pirate Nation what you've been up to the last decade plus, and what you're doing currently.
Oh, right now I'm a truck driver for a container company down here in Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now currently, and working to get my own truck in the near future, start my own business. And I kind of left football alone back in 2010 when I went to Cleveland for Arena One. Huh?
How long have you been to Charleston?
Well, my hometown is 35 minutes from Charleston. I stay in Cross, so I'm born and raised, 35 minutes from Charleston.
Okay, were you down there when Coach Houston was at the Citadel?
What year? I was always down here because
he was at the Citadel.
13, 14, somewhere in there is when he.
14.
I
moved back
there until 16. 13,
Yeah.
14, 15.
Yeah, I never. You know what? I've been to. Hold on. I'm trying to remember. I've been to some games where they played Charleston Southern because my brother. My older brother, he was a linebacker coach at Charleston Southern. I never knew who the Citadel head coach was at the time.
Well, when they were good, he was the head coach there. He was the head coach when they upset South Carolina.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 'cause I know Charleston Southern beat them twice. I think that was in 2016. I think once was in the regular season and one time was in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think what's great about Coach Houston, guys, is no matter where he's gone, the guys at Lenore Ryan still give him credit for their success they're having at the Division II level. You look at the Citadel, and you can even say, look at same thing with James Madison. They have a great coach there from E1.
Yeah.
And so it's like everywhere he's gone, my point is he's built the program. It wasn't like one of these coaches that just got by and just got a number of wins and got out of there. He's the kind of guy that he's built the program up. And then the next guy coming in had a lot easier than having to build it from scratch.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen the difference in the Citadel program because I used to watch Citadel in the past, and I also – I had they offered me a scholarship to go there out of high school too. So I watched the Citadel program and to where it is now, to where it was in the past, and a lot has changed with that school. A lot has changed.
How are you feeling?
Huh?
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, how are your feelings about Mike Houston? Are you going to come to some games this year?
Yeah, I'm going to come to some. Yeah, I'm already planning to come to some games this year. I haven't been to a game in a while. I think the last time I've been ECU was for a spring game. I think that was back in 2015. Yeah, but I'm planning to come to at least 1 or 2 games this year. Check out the Pirates. But I'm always, watching them on TV and stuff and trying to stay up current on the scores and everything, see what's all going on.
Well, Fred, thank you so much. I know that you spent a lot of time with us. You're part of an era that is very special to us. You're one of the best to play at East Carolina, in my opinion, and I know a lot of others in Pirate Nation. Good luck to you with getting that your own rig, and certainly thanks for all you've done, and appreciate the support. And hopefully we can get you to come into a whole bunch of games and get a whole bunch of people from South Carolina and come to East Carolina.
Okay, appreciate it. It's definitely, and it's an honor to be on this podcast with y'all. And thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Fred.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, thank y'all.
Good night.
All right, good night.
That concludes this edition of 50 Pirates in 50 Days on the Sports Objective. Remember, join us daily between now and game day as we'll talk Pirate football with players from various eras. All these interviews are available exclusively on SoundCloud and our YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe and follow so you're alerted when we post new content. Thank you so much for listening, and as always, go Pirates!